from the Theatre of Dreams here in Manchester, where United start the day 11 points adrift of Aston Villa in fourth, but only 6 behind Tottenham. And remember, 5th place could well be enough for Champions League football this season, but those back-to-back defeats in the last 2 weeks against Fulham here and City in the derby have made that task that little bit more difficult, you'd say. United, of course, haven't lost 3 consecutive games in the Premier League since 2015, when Louis van Gaal was in charge here. Well, his fellow Dutchman, Erik ten Hag, has been very defensive of his players ahead of this game. You may have noticed his predecessor, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, was talking in a podcast this week about how he found it difficult to manage what he called a Generation Z dressing room here at Old Trafford. Well, ten Hag said from his point of view, it's all about finding different ways to motivate players, though I did concede that perhaps there is a little bit less of a team ethic nowadays than when Solskjaer played, because all of the individual players have their own teams, companies, businesses around them. Speaking of teams, well, the team news is pretty straightforward here today. Both sides unchanged from respective 3-1 defeats last weekend, and for all Manchester United's struggles, if that is the right word, well, Everton might just be the ideal opponents for them today. They come into this game without a win in 10, and they've won 1 in their last 30 games here at Old Trafford. So often, Everton very much the get-right opponents for United here at Old Trafford. And speaking of the Theatre of Dreams, a lot of conversation about the future of the stadium in recent times. Sir Jim Ratcliffe has said this week that he's looking to set up a task force to discuss the regeneration or rebuilding of Old Trafford, led by Lord Coe. And if you're not a follower of politics here in the UK, you may well know of Sebastian Coe, the Olympic athlete. He will lead that task force. One thing he might find, just speaking to fans here today ahead of the game, it does appear that there is a huge amount of sentimentality among fans about this stadium itself, about playing in the same venue where Sir Alex Ferguson created that great team, where the Busby Babes kicked off in that very centre circle. So he may well find, if he's consulting with fans, that staying here and regenerating Old Trafford might prove to be the more popular.
Wow.
In the interests of balance, he's won 61 of 100 games, which is a better record than any previous incumbent in the chair at Manchester United. I think he's deluded. The games that he's won.
He certainly gives me the impression of a manager who's searching for stats and facts that tell